Hello and welcome back to the Dare to Believe podcast. I'm Brittani Wegner and I'm here with Pastor Kristi Graner. Hello, Kristi.
Hi, Brittani. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. And we're here talking about one of our favorite topics, which is biblical dream interpretation. There's a lot that we do with dreams, so I highly recommend you access our website at dtbmn.org/dreams. You can get access to information to submit a dream interpretation, to get access to our Kristi's online course called Understanding Dreams. So that helps you learn how to interpret your dreams through God's metaphorical language in conjunction with the Holy Spirit.
Some of the basics are in that class.
Yeah.
It's not a real in-depth course, but it's the basics, and you will have an understanding, and you can always grow from there on your own.
Yeah. And then we have other ways to connect. We have virtual dream labs. We have pop-up coffee shops with dream interpretation. We just love dreams.
Yes. And we know that God is speaking to people in dreams. And there are counterfeits of dream interpretation that we would call that things that are not interpreting dreams God's way. We would call that a counterfeit. But we do find that when you are rooted in God's Word and you are relying on God for your interpretations and you are learning skills from Him on how He speaks metaphorically, He's got a lot to say to us.
Yeah. And dreams come in all sorts of ways and formats and for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
We've got an interesting one today that we're going to talk about.
We do.
That's a little bit more of a warning dream. But let's talk about what does a warning dream mean?
Well, and there are different ways that people are warned in their dreams. And this is a dark warning dream. There are sometimes it's a warning dream that has more full color in it, and sometimes there's muted colors in it. The amount of light that God would put in a dream will tell you a little bit more about why He's giving you the warning. But He will warn you. He will warn you if you are making choices that are not good for you. He'll warn you, like, you don't want to do that. It's a kind of correction. He'll warn you if something difficult is coming in the future. He'll warn you about it so you can prepare and pray. But also He will warn you. You have a spiritual enemy who's the enemy of your soul. And that enemy has strategies that come against us being the person that God created us to be. There are strategies of the enemy to block what you were created to do and what you were created to be. And this is one of those dreams. And the way we know it's the enemy's plan is because we know that our God is light. In Him there is no darkness. And this dream is void of color. It's totally a black and white dream. And I remember when I first learned about dream interpretation and they're talking about black and white dreams, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever had a black and white dream. But then when I had a black and white dream, and as I'm dreaming, I'm going, oh, this is what they're talking about. It is like watching a black and white movie. And that tells you this is something serious. This is what the enemy wants to do to you. Now, it's not what the enemy has permission to do necessarily or what the enemy gets to do to you, but wants to do. And so this is a time to be gathering with people who can pray for you and pray with you that God's plans would prevail in your life, not the enemy's plans. But this is like being in a war. It is a war, and you're seeing the enemy's strategy. I mean, that gives you an advantage over the enemy. And the Lord always gives us an advantage over our enemy because Jesus has overcome the enemy. And so we're partnering with Jesus and what He's done to overcome the enemy's strategies against us as individuals and our destiny. So that's what this is.
Yeah, and God's a good Father. He wants to warn us. He wants to make us aware of what's coming. And so He wants to speak to us and give us these dreams for our benefit. It's His loving kindness that He gives these kind of dreams, allows us to see the enemy's plan. Again, like Kristi said, doesn't mean that the enemy has a right to do it, but the Lord just gives us insight into what's coming or what's potentially coming and how we can pray against it. And what I love, too, is that when it's a dream from the Lord, it has redemption, right? You talk about that earlier in one of our other podcasts.
Yeah, and I mean, let me just give you an example. That dream that I had that was black and white, I was a pastor in a local church, and I was starting to teach. I'd just gotten to know John Paul Jackson, and he was a mentor of mine for many years, and I became a trainer with his ministry, which is Streams Ministries International, which John Thomas now oversees. But they're the ones that taught me originally how to understand the language of dreams. And so I was just getting involved in that ministry. I was pastoring, and I was part of a pastoral team, I should say, and I was introducing these things into the congregation and into our community. All right, these things of God and the biblical basis for them. I was teaching on that, and I had this black and white dream, and I'm dreaming like, this is like watching a black and white movie. And in the dream, I'm walking down a path like in a wooded area, and there are trees on either side, so it's just like a wooded path. And as I'm walking along, my right leg steps over a rock. And as I'm stepping over the rock, I see a rock in the way, and I step over with my right leg. And as my right leg goes over the rock turns into a snake, and it bites the back of my calf muscle. And in the dream, and I had several dreams like this that I had snake bites, and I would always be trying to suck the poison out. And I remember, here I am again, I'm sucking poison out of my leg. So I remembered that it was a recurring dream, which is important as well, because God was trying to get my attention about something. When you have a recurring dream, he's saying, either this is established if it's something he is doing, but if it's something the enemy is doing, he's really trying to get my attention, so I will take care of the issue. And it bit me, and the next scene in the dream, I wake up in a hospital bed, and some people are bending over me saying, we thought that we were going to lose you, but it looks like you're going to make it. And that's the end of the dream. And I'm like, okay. So I sent this in. I'm thinking, this is one of those black and white dreams, but I wasn't scared or worried yet. So I sent it in, and they replied to me, this is serious. You need to pay attention to this. And what it means is you're walking a path. You're walking down the path of leadership, and there are leaders on either side of me. But in my right leg, right is more the things you are breaking through, things you're doing that are new. And your left side is more the things that come naturally to you, that you are born with the ability and the calling to do. And so my right leg, as I stepped, so it's my walk, what I'm breaking through in my walk, which was this type of thing, dream interpretation and this type of thing. There were going to be lies, venomous lies that come against me and try to take me out. And they attack my walk. They attack my legs. So what the part of the body that the Lord, or that the dream shows you, is important as well. So, but I was going to make it. And so they said, this is serious, that the enemy has a strategy against you as a leader with other leaders. And this is serious. And there will be lies. And there will be things that come against you and try to destroy you by attacking your walk. And I will make it, but it will be tough. And they said, you don't have to tolerate this and expect this to come about. This is the time to get people praying for you. So I gathered everybody I knew that would pray for me, and then we prayed, and they prayed for me. And I'm still here, and I'm still doing this. So it did definitely, there were some lies of other leaders that were not able to handle and believe that God could speak in dreams. There was some of that going on. And things, there were hurtful and harmful things that happened, but I'm still here. I'm still doing what God called me to do. Yeah. So the dream was a warning in that. And that's what's going on with this. This is actually another pastor that sent this in, and the dream is very important. And I already have gotten back to that pastor, and they received the warning. But we're going to unpack this together so you can understand how the Lord speaks through these kinds of dreams.
Yeah, and just one thing before we go to this dream, I did want to say there was hope at the end because you made it. So yes, even though it was, a tough yes, time, there was hope at the end.
That is one way to see. If sometimes we get dreams that are the enemy, or they're just something that is evil and it ends hopeless, and dark and hopeless, those will let you know that is not, the Lord doesn't have anything to do with this. But the fact that it was dark and I saw the enemy's plan, but I ended with hope that I'm going to make it. Exactly. That's how you know it's from the Lord. Yeah. He always gives us some sort of hope. It can be a tough dream. It can be a correction dream. It might not feel very good while you're dreaming, but when you end with some kind of hope, you know that's of the Lord.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a dream submitted through our dream interpretation form through our website. Again, that's dtbmn.org/dreams. And when you submit your dream, one thing we ask for is the title of the dream. It just helps us to understand what stood out to you, the dreamer, and what's important for context of the dream. And so this particular dream title is Snake. So that gives us a lot of information and what stood out in this dream.
Yeah, and what do we know about snakes? They have long tails, so they're long tails, and they have venom. So it's poisonous lies. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to read the dream here, what the dreamer submitted. It says, someone threw a rattlesnake at me. I couldn't see who it was. He was too far away. I was able to catch it by the head, holding its jaws closed. He threw a second one, which I caught the same way. I was standing with the snake in each hand, wondering what my next move would be. It seemed like whatever I could think to do with them, I might get bit. The other part that we ask when you submit your dream in is what stood out, any colors, what feelings. All of that information helps us for context of the dream. And this individual stated it was a black and white dream. It seemed like the head of both of the snakes were between my thumb and forefinger. And mostly I was trying to figure out how to deal with them and why they were thrown at me. Mm-hmm. That's definitely a morning dream.
Well, and what's interesting is between thumb and forefinger, I'm just going to go to that because a lot of times the fingers on your hand will tell you things, and the thumb is the finger that touches every gift. And a lot of times this is the fivefold ministries are represented sometimes, not always. But if he's catching it between his pointer finger, which is that the teacher? Or is that the prophetic? I think that is the prophetic. The prophetic, I'd have to look that up. I'm sorry, I don't have it accurate, but I believe it's the prophetic and the apostolic. So this person probably has an apostolic, prophetic gifting that they're able to catch and silence the lies of the enemy, but they aren't removing them yet.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm thinking that's what the catching. I didn't catch that before. But so the dream is about the dreamer, which is this person, and somebody doesn't know who, doesn't see the person. So it's probably just the enemy working through people. Obviously, we don't fight against flesh and blood. So the people that are throwing lies and accusations and venomous things, poisonous lies, it's working through people, but it's the enemy throwing these things at him. And he's able to deal with them to this capacity. So he's doing pretty well so far, but he knows his time is limited in being able to handle all this without getting bit. And so the Lord is saying it's time to get some help and get some intercession. So really he's able to catch them, and I like that it's the apostolic prophetic anointing on his life, but it's time to get the prayer in and deal with this. Yeah. So really it's a warning. It's like, this is serious. The enemy's got a serious plan against your life, and you need to take care of this and get some prayer coverage.
Yeah, and going back to our earlier conversation, the hope was that he was holding on. He was able to catch them. They didn't bite him. They didn't attack him. Yep.
The poison hadn't affected him. He's got it under control, but he needed to get some people engaged with him.
Yeah, and it's getting to the point because both his hands are full, right? So it's getting to the point where he's now concerned, right? Whatever he does at this point he's gonna get bit.
And what I do know is hands also represent relationship, because that's what you reach out and shake a hand, or you touch somebody that you're in relationship with. So hands are relational. So these are probably some relational lies and deception against him. So that makes it hard. But God's warning him so he could get prayer. And I did warn the pastor, and he emailed back right away and said, I'm on it. I got the prayer coverage. So God is very good.
Yes. And this is another reason why dreams are so important. We want you to value your dreams as much as we do, and help you with interpretation and connecting with God to get more information in regards to your dreams. So thank you guys so much.
And we do encourage you, if you are in the South Metro in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, come on. We have dream labs in person, and we do once a month. We do a Saturday morning where you are able to come and get your dream interpreted. If you are not in this area, we do dream labs that are virtual. So you would have to sign up, but then we would give you a Zoom link and we would interpret your dreams as well.
Yeah.
So we have those available. Besides, you can also submit your dream, which may take a little bit longer, but we have a team who is on it, and we do have the classes. So we bless you with the ability to learn more about understanding what God is saying, what your Creator God is saying to you in your dreams.
Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us.